during the year from domestic or qualified foreign corporations. The end. Timmy.
I was thinking I'd take code section 179 depreciation on my bicycle. Is that smart?
All right, welcome back to Thrive America. Here with Brandon, owner of Firewolf, and
Correct.
A little bit later we're going to really dig deep into what Firewolf does and the solutions you guys provide. But for now, Brandon, let's talk about some other business building principles to help us thrive in this economy. And you mentioned here social networking. Educate me on the benefits of taking advantage of the social media that's out there today.
Of course, everyone hears it, whether you hear Facebook, MySpace, Twitter. We're hearing it every single day, probably more in the last few months than anybody ever expected. People look at some of these avenues as just ways for people to connect with friends from middle school or high school, but there's a lot of opportunity out there to tell your story, let people see who you are outside of the work environment, and keep people current with new work. For example, with Firewolf, we're constantly telling people about new clients' website launches through these channels, and I'm working one-on-one with business owners to allow them how to understand how they can create a profile for themselves on all these social networking sites just to drive traffic to their website, and they can also do one for their business. And I found it very, very helpful, and I think right now you want to take advantage of every outlet to get your story out and to share news that's going on, and you'd be shocked at the amount of people that would follow you on a national or even international basis.
The person who's just intimidated with all that stuff, the Twitters and the Facebooks and the new one that's going to come out in a couple months and the new one after that, what is a philosophy that you have, or is there a tool that's out there that maybe could help us corral a lot of this stuff? Because you could spend hours and hours just figuring out an application on a Facebook or a Twitter.
Sure. I would offer anyone who wants to contact myself at firewolf.com and take the time to give them sort of a free overview on how these could help them. Each business is going to be different and what ones they might want to go down, or if they have products for sale, they'll have a different approach. But I think that everybody looks at their Rolodex and they look at their contacts. They're going to find one person that they know that can sit down with them for a half hour and explain it to them. And you need to just let your guard down and say, you know what, I don't know anything about Facebook. I don't know anything about MySpace. I don't know anything about Twitter, but I want to know. And I want to start using it. And everybody at this point has somebody that can teach it to them.
Yeah. And I think you're right. We got to jump into that game. It's a great way to tell your story, and you got to come across, I think, a balance of not being annoying,
Sure,
where you're just talking about your business all the time, but just letting people know. You talk here about competitive advantage to thrive in this economy. Tell me a little bit more about what that means to you.
Sure. These days you have to have an advantage. So there has to be something that you're doing that's a little different. And with Firewolf, I believe a lot of it's the process that we go through. And it's understanding who our clients are, taking the time to really learn their business model, learn what their 6-month, 1 year, 3-year, 5-year marketing and business goals are. And really understanding that, looking at the competitive landscape, looking at what their competitors are doing today, and gaining an idea on what they can afford to do and what they're going to see a real return on investment.
So let me make sure I have this clear. Your what's helped you is this competitive advantage. Your clients. Would you say that your clients feel that you understand their industry and you take the time, and therefore we should all.
Absolutely. We should all take time to look at the people we're doing business with. And, we've even established some basic steps like a client profile. Ask them questions so that you don't assume that everybody knows things. A lot of times that's the misconception. Take the time to really understand the business model, the goals, everything that they want to accomplish so that the plan you put in place makes sense both financially and for all the objectives that they have. And you're not spending the marketing efforts or marketing dollars going after the wrong prospects. And it's just the idea of getting to know the people you do business with.
Yeah, I sense a tremendous amount of trust that you have with your clients. That happens when you go back to a client and say, hey, we spent 2 weeks researching your competition, and we're seeing what they're doing, we're seeing what's working for them, and we have a great website for you that integrates great SEO and great design, and it's
Yes.
not just a pretty site, but it's actual function. It has some great functions to it. It works. So I think we've covered some bases here. Brandon, is there any other business before we get into more about what Firewolf can do and provide? Is there anything that comes to you as far as what has helped you thrive and what you can help others thrive in this economy?
Yeah, I think it also gets down to the sort of what we were talking about in the previous segment. Asking others to help you network. Don't be afraid to ask people that you know for business. If you believe in your product or your service that you're offering, you should be constantly pushing it and ask others to help you, because you'll be shocked at the results you'll get if you just ask.
So far I've picked up from you is get out there and network, throw events, take the time to meet people, and it's not about how many people you meet, but it's the kind of people that you connect with, and then from there utilize some of the social media tools to use, even to follow up with people, tell your story online. What's the competitive advantage? It sounds like you really take the time to get to know your clients, build that trust, and that's going to make repeat business, and I'm sure they're going to be so happy they're going to be telling their friends. And
that's what it is. It's referrals at the end of the day. Anybody can make a website. A lot of people can get them optimized in Google. But the point is, when you take the time to really learn your client's goals and then deliver on those goals, they're going to tell everyone they know. And it eliminates the need for a typical sales force when you just do a great job. So it's really important.
Yeah, do a good job and do it right the first time. So, I'm going to bring you right back. I'm really dying to hear about Firewolf and maybe some success stories and some of the solutions that you guys provide. So we'll bring Brandon right back and talk some more about Firewolf.